Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Dark Souls 3 on the PC. This is my walkthrough for the Ashes of Ariandel DLC. We're currently on part 2 of what I imagine will be 4 to maybe 5 parts. We're going to be making our way across the rope bridge over here. I've switched to the Onokuri and Obadachi dual katana setup. It is at +5, and at +5 I think it's still quite a bit less than the other weapon that I had in the last video. When you come over here, there's going to be 4 of these enemies here on the ground praying or feeding or something like that. They can't be backstabbed, and they're only a threat after you hit them and they get to their feet. So it's a really simple enemy. So there will be 3 weapons used on this run. There will be the weapon that we saw in the last video, which I'll be using on the boss when we get to him. The Flamberge, the katanas that we're using now, and also the Crow Talons, because they remind me of the Falcon's Talons from Ninja Gaiden, and they're pretty fun to use, and they're all based around bleed. So we're going to be going into this church and then getting this bonfire over here, and every time that you die, you'll have to hit the bridge down. And she should be giving us a ring. Should be the I can't remember what it's called. Something, the Chillbite ring. I don't think I'll be using it, honestly. Now, in the last video, I was mentioning that Phil Burnell is a pure grade pig, and I will always maintain that he is. He's a pure grade hog's bitch, and the thing I didn't like about his walkthrough is that he's being a bitch and he knows better. Now, when I was playing Dark Souls 1 and I was using the Black Knight Halberd, I didn't know better. And when I realized that it's a crutch, I didn't use it. I didn't use it in my guide. And I don't really want to talk about him too much because I don't want to unnecessarily taint my video by mentioning his name, but he's basically pulling every sort of security around him and fencing himself up into a position where he can't lose. And it's his right to do that. It's his right, but when you've already gone through the game and you know there's such a thing as you're not giving the game a chance. The game always gives you a chance, and you know better, and you're not giving it a chance. And it's just, there's no reason to watch anybody if they're gonna play it like that, because it's really dull. So, and I realize too that there's no real reason that I should criticize his playthrough, because at least he finished his. And in my defense, I did finish my Dark Souls 1 playthrough, but I deleted it because I was kind of ashamed of it. I didn't like it. I'm not really a playthrough person anyway, but I did finish it. I just never published it, and I deleted it before it was finished being published. And I know I incurred a lot of people's wrath, but you have to, admit that it is my right to do that, even if you don't like it. I don't like it either. I apologize about it. Yeah, I mean, it's not even a real reason to mention him anymore. But down here we've got a bonfire, and we're going to be dealing with some crabs over here. It would be nice if there was just one crab down here. I mean, there's no compulsion to fight them. You don't have to fight them. It's hard to fight them, admittedly, with this weapon, because it's really slow, and the katanas that I was using at the beginning of the video, they're really weak and they don't stagger this enemy too well, and I'm kind of depending on hitting this guy and then staggering him to front stab him and then take care of him that way. I'm not going to go too far in the distance over there where the trees are that grab you, because there's more of these that spawn, and if there was just one of these down here, I wouldn't object to it too much, but there's as many as 3 down here. There could be more, for all I know. And I was confused when I got a drop from the second one, because I thought it was the end of the fight, and I think I could have spawned a 3rd crab, but what I'm not going to show in this video is something that I didn't know about. Is if you go to the edge of the map down here, like ahead and to the right from this position, there's some trees that you can destroy, and they'll drop a ladder for you, and if you climb these pair of ladders that that drop down over here for you, you can get a Titanite slab for yourself. And I think I never mentioned the third weapon that I'm going to use. I'm sorry. I'm going to use the crow's... what are they called? The crow's talons? I think they're called the crow's quill. No, they're not called the crow's quills, because the crow's quills is like one falcon's talons and a rapier. I also really appreciate people suffering my playthroughs of this game, and because I'm not a go-to authority on Dark Souls, I'm not really much of a knowledge on it. I don't know the game too well at all, so I appreciate you suffering it as much as you've been able to. So yeah, I mean, it's not too hard of an enemy. Basically, you just stay to the left or to the right of it. You know, avoid its frost attack. And the reason I'm going to be using a couple of weapons beyond the Flamberge is just for variety, basically. And I think there's a chance that the Flamberge, it doesn't break the game, because I've looked around at some of these other weapons and they're really strong like this weapon too. But it's maybe a little bit too strong, so I'm gonna try to balance that out by using the katanas that I mentioned, and also the crows, the falcon's talons. I don't know what it's called, but we'll get it in the next video. And it's pretty cool, and these are all bleed weapons too. So I didn't get a parry on this guy, and he's really easy to parry. He's really easy to guard break, which that's not what I meant, but you can easily off balance him by kicking his shield, and we're gonna slaughter him with this weapon and with this blade. And when he's doing that raised sword attack, I believe that's his stance mode, and I'm not gonna try to parry that because I've never had success parrying that. But I believe this is Champion Gundry's Grave Tender. I mean, such an easy enemy, but when this thing comes out, we've got to do a bit of running, because you don't want to be lingering too much around this guy. He's really tough. Now, we've seen this guy in the last video. I said you need to stay to the left or to the right of him, because halfway through his health bar, he goes even more berserk than he's going now. This guy is really vicious, though, so what I would recommend is just to be incredibly evasive on this guy, and just stay to the right and to the left of him, and you know, take very deliberate strikes here. And if you have to, just back off, use the ember, you know, use your blood ring. And this is a pretty chaotic fight, because it's not really based on skill as much as the first phase of it was. It's just incredibly hard to keep track of him, even with this decent frame rate. There's no frame rate issues here, so it's not really about that. It's basically just about, you know, keeping track of him, and not getting completely stomped on by him, because he's very keen on just, you know, rushing across the screen, and it's not that bad, but this has to be avoided. It can actually go through that column, and I got knocked over by it. So it's not as fair as, for instance, Vort of the Boreal Valley, because that guy had a pretty good amount of, you know, like when he hit you, you really could feel like it was either your fault or not. And finished. We finished. We got some items. Now we're gonna head to the bonfire, and then from here we'll warp back to the Rope Bridge bonfire. But that will be something we do in the next video. Thank you very much for watching and everything like that, and I will see you guys in part 3. Take care.